Every moment of your life, you're faced with decisions that shape your destiny. These choices, as tiny as they might seem in the moment, are actually weaving this incredibly intricate tapestry of who you are and who you're becoming. I want you to think about the last time you faced a real challenge in your life. How did you see it? Did you view it as just another setback that was holding you back? Or did you recognize it as this amazing opportunity to evolve and grow? You see, this question isn't just rhetorical. In the philosophy of Stoicism, it really represents the core of how we perceive and interact with the world around us. And today, we're going to dive deep into 10 essential habits that you absolutely must work on every single day. These aren't just any habits. They're transformative practices that are deeply rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Whether you're completely new to philosophical thinking or you've been studying these concepts for years, these habits are going to provide you with practical tools that you can use to enhance your daily life and build a stronger character. But before we dive into all of that, I want you to take a moment right now to consider what you're currently doing to improve yourself each day. Are your habits truly aligned with your values? Are they actually helping you become the person you want to be? You see, the real beauty of Stoic philosophy lies in its incredible practicality. It's not just theoretical wisdom sitting on some dusty shelf. It's actionable guidance for living a better life. Let's start with the absolute foundation of all personal growth, which is mindful awareness. You see, the Stoics understood something really profound about human nature. They realized that our true power doesn't lie in controlling external events, but in controlling our response to them. And this starts with developing this keen awareness of your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions. Imagine you're sitting in a meeting, and someone just harshly criticizes your work in front of everyone. Your immediate instinct might be to defend yourself or respond with anger, but what if you could pause in that moment? What if you could create this tiny space between the trigger and your response? And this is exactly where our first habit comes in. It's about cultivating mindful awareness in every single moment of your day. Start your day with this simple practice. When you wake up, before reaching for your phone or jumping into your routine, just take 3 deep breaths. Notice the sensations in your body. Notice the thoughts in your mind. This small act of awareness sets the tone for your entire day. And throughout your day, I want you to practice what I call the mindful pause. These are those brief moments where you check in with yourself, where you observe your thoughts and choose your responses rather than just reacting. You know, I was working with a client recently, let's call her Sarah, and she was struggling with constant stress at work. She felt like she was always reacting to situations rather than responding to them. We started implementing this mindful pause practice, and within just a few weeks, she noticed this dramatic shift in how she handled challenging situations at work. Instead of immediately reacting to difficult emails or confrontational colleagues, she started taking that brief moment to pause and choose her response. And the impact on both her work life and her stress levels was absolutely remarkable. Now our second habit builds directly on this foundation, and it's all about embracing radical acceptance. And I want to be really clear about something. This doesn't mean being passive or just giving up. Instead, it's about acknowledging reality as it is before deciding how to act. Think about it this way. When you're stuck in traffic, getting angry doesn't make the cars move any faster, but accepting the situation allows you to think clearly about your options. Maybe you can use that time to listen to an audiobook, or plan your day, or just practice patience. And you know what Epictetus said about this? He said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well." And this isn't just some ancient wisdom. This is a practical approach to reducing unnecessary suffering in your life. When you find yourself resisting reality, just remind yourself that acceptance is always the first step toward effective action. I remember when I first started practicing this principle, it completely changed how I dealt with setbacks in my own life. I used to get so frustrated when things didn't go according to plan, but when I started practicing this radical acceptance, I found that I could think more clearly and actually find solutions instead of just being stuck in that frustration. The third habit is about disciplined action, and this is where I see many people really struggle. Because it's not enough to be aware and accepting. You need to act in alignment with your values, regardless of how you feel in the moment. This means doing what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable. Think about Marcus Aurelius, who wrote in his Meditations about the struggle of getting out of bed in the morning. He reminded himself that he was born to do work, to contribute, to live a life of purpose. And what's really important to understand about disciplined action is that it doesn't mean you never feel lazy or unmotivated. It means you act despite those feelings. And I want you to start small. When you don't want to exercise, just commit to 5 minutes. When you're procrastinating on a project, just promise yourself you'll work on it for 10 minutes. Often, you'll find that starting is the hardest part, and once you begin, you'll actually want to continue. You know, I worked with another client, a writer who was struggling with finishing his first book. He was waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting to feel motivated. But once we implemented this principle of disciplined action, setting a daily writing goal of just 500 words regardless of how he felt, he finished his first draft in 3 months, something he'd been trying to do for over 2 years. And this brings us to our fourth habit, which focuses on emotional intelligence. And this is where Stoicism really shines. The Stoics were absolute pioneers in understanding how emotions work and how to manage them effectively. They taught us that emotions aren't good or bad in themselves. They're actually information. When you feel angry, anxious, or frustrated, treat these emotions as messengers rather than enemies. I want you to develop what I call the emotional observer mindset. When you feel a strong emotion arising, imagine stepping back and watching it like a scientist studying a natural phenomenon. What triggered this emotion? What thoughts are associated with it? What sensations do you notice in your body? This practice helps you respond to emotions wisely rather than being controlled by them. You know, I remember working with a business executive who was constantly getting triggered by his team's mistakes. He would immediately react with frustration and anger, which was damaging his relationships and team morale. But when we started practicing this emotional observer mindset, he began to notice the physical sensations that preceded his anger, the tension in his shoulders, the heat in his face. And this awareness gave him that crucial moment to choose his response rather than just react. And this leads perfectly into our fifth habit, which is all about fostering meaningful relationships. And you know, sometimes people completely misunderstand Stoicism. They think it's about emotional detachment or isolation, but nothing could be further from the truth. The Stoics deeply understood that humans are social creatures, and our connections with others are absolutely essential to living a fulfilled life. I want you to think about your relationships right now. Are they just surface-level interactions, or do they have real depth? Are you truly present when you're with others, or is your mind always somewhere else? One of the most powerful practices you can develop is what I call intentional presence, giving your full attention to whoever you're with, whether it's a family member, a friend, or a colleague. Let me share something personal with you. I used to be that person who was always checking their phone during conversations, half listening while thinking about what I needed to do later. But when I started practicing these Stoic principles, I realized how much I was missing. Now, when I'm with someone, I make a conscious effort to be fully there. No phone, no distractions, just genuine attention and interest. And the difference in the quality of my relationships has been absolutely remarkable. The sixth habit is about continuous learning, and this is absolutely crucial. The Stoics believe that wisdom isn't something you achieve once and then you're done. It's a lifelong journey. Every single day presents new opportunities to learn and grow, but only if you're paying attention. And this doesn't mean you need to read philosophy books all day or spend hours in meditation. It means approaching every experience, every interaction, every challenge as a chance to learn something new. I love sharing this story about a student I worked with who was struggling with perfectionism. She saw every mistake as a failure until we started reframing these moments as learning opportunities. Instead of beating herself up when she made a mistake, she started asking, "What can I learn from this?" When she had a disagreement with someone, rather than just trying to prove she was right, she started asking, "What might I be missing here?" This habit of continuous learning keeps you humble and open to growth, which is essential for both personal and professional development. And now we come to our seventh habit, which is practicing deliberate gratitude. And this goes way beyond just saying thank you or making generic gratitude lists. The Stoic approach to gratitude is much more profound. It involves regularly contemplating not just what you have, but also what you could lose. And I know this might sound negative at first, but it's actually incredibly powerful. When you imagine losing the things you value, your health, your loved ones, your abilities, you develop this deeper appreciation for them while you have them. Let me give you this powerful exercise. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, I want you to imagine that everything in your life, your home, your job, your relationships, was given back to you after being taken away. How would you feel? What would you appreciate more? This practice, known as negative visualization, was a key Stoic technique for developing genuine gratitude and avoiding taking things for granted. The eighth habit focuses on physical discipline, because the Stoics understood something that modern science is now confirming. Mind and body are deeply interconnected. You can't separate your physical habits from your mental and emotional well-being. And this doesn't mean you need to become a fitness fanatic or an extreme athlete. It means treating your body with respect and understanding that your physical choices affect your ability to live according to your values. I worked with someone recently who was struggling with stress and anxiety, and we started implementing small physical changes, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, choosing water instead of soda, going for a short walk during lunch breaks. And the key here was consistency over intensity. Remember what Epictetus said. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. If you want to be someone who has the energy and vitality to pursue your goals, you need to take care of your physical foundation. The ninth habit is about contributing to the greater good, and this is where Stoicism really challenges our modern individualistic culture. You see, the Stoics believe that we're all part of this larger whole, and that true fulfillment comes from contributing to the common good. And this doesn't mean you need to save the world or make these grand gestures. It means looking for ways to add value to your community, to help others, to make things just a little bit better wherever you are. I remember working with a corporate executive who was feeling unfulfilled despite his success. When we started exploring ways for him to contribute, he began mentoring younger employees in his company. And you know what happened? Not only did it help those employees grow, but he found this whole new level of satisfaction in his work because he was focused on giving rather than just getting. And that's the key. I want you to shift your focus from what can I get to what can I give. When you make this shift, something remarkable happens. You start finding more meaning and satisfaction in your daily life. Let me share another example. I had a client who started small. She just began helping her elderly neighbor with groceries once a week. But that simple act of service created this ripple effect in her life. She became more connected to her community, more aware of opportunities to help others, and she reported feeling more fulfilled than she had in years. And this brings us to our 10th and final habit, which is practicing financial wisdom. Now, the Stoics weren't against wealth or success, but they understood that our relationship with money and material things can either support or undermine our character development. This habit is about developing a healthy, balanced approach to money and possessions that aligns with your values. I want you to start examining your relationship with material things. Are you spending money on things that truly align with your values? Are you saving and investing wisely for the future? Are you using your resources in ways that benefit not just yourself but others as well? The goal isn't to become wealthy for wealth's sake, but to use money as a tool for living a good life and supporting what matters most to you. You know, I worked with someone who was making six figures but was constantly stressed about money. And when we dug deeper, we discovered he was spending a huge portion of his income on things that didn't really matter to him. Once he aligned his spending with his values, he actually started spending less but feeling more abundant because every dollar was supporting what truly mattered in his life. Now, I know implementing all these habits might seem overwhelming at first. That's why I recommend starting with just one or two that resonate most strongly with you. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every small step you take in the right direction compounds over time, leading to significant changes in your life. Think about where you want to be a year from now. What kind of person do you want to become? These habits, practiced consistently, will help you get there. They've been tested and proven over thousands of years, helping countless individuals live more meaningful, fulfilled lives. Let me give you one final example that ties all of this together. I worked with someone who started with just the first habit, mindful awareness, just practicing those 3 deep breaths in the morning and those mindful pauses throughout the day. After a few weeks, she naturally became more accepting of challenging situations, her actions became more disciplined, her emotional intelligence improved, and gradually she found herself implementing more and more of these habits without it feeling forced or overwhelming. As we wrap up, I want to encourage you to take action right now. Choose one habit from this list and commit to practicing it for the next week. Start small, but start today. Remember what Seneca said, "Life is long enough, and it has been given in sufficiently generous measure to allow the accomplishment of the very greatest things if the whole of it is well invested." Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Stoic habits. If you found value in this discussion, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit from these ancient yet timeless principles. And remember, the journey of personal growth is ongoing. There is no final destination, only continuous improvement. Let's keep growing and learning together. You know what I really want you to take away from all of this is that it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress each day. These habits aren't just philosophical concepts. They're practical tools for living a better life. Start implementing them today and watch how they transform your life, one small choice at a time. And I look forward to hearing about your journey and your growth as you put these principles into practice in your own life. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.